It's Alicia Dupree, and I am a one-star diamond coach with Beachbody. I want to talk a little bit about the 21-day fix and the portion fix containers. So you get this package and you start thinking, oh my gosh, I need to eat only this. This is scary. At least that's how I felt. I can promise you that that is not the case. I would also be willing to bet that you will be surprised at how much food you actually have to eat. A lot of people actually aren't eating enough food, and therefore they're holding on to weight that they could otherwise release if they were fueling their body correctly. So I want to walk you through the containers. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some apps that Beachbody has available that are great for you to help track your progress. I'm also going to walk you through this book, which you should have received when you got your kit. The great news is with Beachbody On Demand, all of this is available online. So if for some reason you lost this or you're, I don't know, whatever, it's all there. So don't sweat it if you don't have it. So let me talk to you a little bit about these containers. And then we'll go into how to calculate what is the right amount of containers for you. So we'll start with the biggest one. Green is for veggies, super easy to remember. Oftentimes, depending on your current weight and your goals, you're gonna probably have 4, 5, in some cases even 6 of these a day. The goal is that you stuff this full of greens or any of the veggies listed, and you're having, again, 4 or 5 of these a day, however you want, with whatever meal you want. We'll talk about that in a second. Purple is for fruits. Oftentimes you think you can just eat a big, huge fruit salad, but this is actually the portion that makes sense for fruit, but you'll have a couple of these a day as well. Red is for protein. I'll go through what some options are, but you probably already know some good lean proteins to fit in here. Shakeology also counts as 1 serving of protein. There you go. Yellow is for carbs. This one surprises a lot of people. When you have rice or quinoa or some bread, etc. Obviously a piece of bread you're not going to crush up and fit here, and so you will find that there is the right measurement. A slice of bread equals 1, or 2 slices of bread equals 2, right? So you'll get those conversions, but if you have something that can fit in this container, this is how much you should have. Now, I can pack the hell out of this, right? So I'll pour a ton of quinoa in, and when you actually dump it on your plate, it's probably a little more than you'd even expect. Blue is healthy fats. So avocado, cheeses, etc. Hummus, this is 1 serving of that. That also surprises people. And then these 2, it's nice that they give you 2 just for prep purposes, but seeds, oils, nuts, dressings, things like that. So we'll talk about those, but those are the containers. My kids use them as bath toys now, so that's a fresh set for you. And now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how to calculate how many of these guys you should be eating each day.
So if you open this up to page 6, you're going to see how you calculate your calorie target. Now, I went ahead and did an example, but you can all do this on your own. So the first thing you got to do is figure out if you have a sedentary lifestyle, moderately active, or highly active. I'd be willing to bet that you guys are either A or B right now. However, the goal is that you're all going to work out. So I think most of you will be in B. So for example's sake, let's say you weigh 150 pounds. You write 150 there, multiply it by 12, which in this case is 1,800. That's your caloric baseline, okay? You're gonna take that 1,800 and you are going to put it right here in section B. Now, a lot of you guys are doing the 21-day fix. Some of you may be doing a more challenging workout, but I think for this case, it's probably okay to put yourself here. We can always adjust as needed, but in this case, you're gonna add 400 calories here. Now, if you look here, you could add 700 because you were gonna likely burn more. So let's again, just for example's sake, you're at 2,200, okay? You take that number, move it over to section C, and you subtract 750 from your maintenance calories, and you have your calorie target, okay? There's some notes here about maintaining weight, gaining weight, and if your calorie target is less than 1,200 or more than 2,800, it shows you where to go. But again, for this case, your calorie target is 1,450. Now, The great news is that there's no counting calories, but you need to use this target amount to figure out what plan you're in. So there are plans up to E, I believe. Oh, F, okay? So A, B, C, D, E, and F. Again, let's just stick with A and B for now. So in this case, I was at 1450, which is right on the cusp here. What I recommend to people is start with plan A. If you're feeling hungry, we can always go up with a veggie or a carb or a fruit to get to plan B. But again, let's say you're falling between plan A or plan B. This will dictate how many of each container you need each day. So for example, you're gonna need 3 vegetables. You're gonna need 2 servings of fruit, 4 proteins, 2 carbs, 1 healthy fat, 1 seeds and dressing. And then what I didn't talk about with the containers is a tablespoon of oil or any sort of nut butter, peanut butter, cashew butter, almond butter, etc. Okay, so let's assume you are on plan A. Now that you know how many containers you have for the day from an allocation standpoint, this is how I meal plan. And this is probably not as involved as I do it now, because now it just makes sense for me and I know how to, kind of quickly adjust if I'm a little off on containers or am finding that I have some left over. But for now, I want to walk you through, if I'm sitting down on Sunday, how I'm going to plan out my week. I'm going to walk you through a day, but I'm also going to send you some meal plan examples that have color-coded options on how to, take what you make for dinner and repurpose it for lunch, etc. But for now, let me show you how I walk through my meal planning. So for breakfast, for me, Shakeology has just become my breakfast. It's super easy, at least during the week. If I had a work meeting or I'm meeting a friend for breakfast or it's Sunday and we're doing breakfast as a family, I'm saving Shakeology for a snack. But let me talk to you as if this were a typical Monday. Okay, so for breakfast, I'm gonna have Shakeology, a scoop of that, which counts as 1 red, 1 protein, okay? I'm definitely gonna involve some peanut butter because it's delicious. I'll do a spoonful of that. Okay, I will do a banana or some sort of berry. So that is one of the purples. Now, I don't track almond milk. I use unsweetened almond milk. Some people use water. I just think the milk gives it a thicker taste that holds me over longer. If I'm being very specific, there's a separate conversion for almond milk, which I can talk to you about. But to me, that is very specific. And for the purpose of this exercise, I'm not going to share, but we can talk about that privately. So you see how I just crossed off a couple of things that I have for the day. Now, I added a snack here, which you may not need or want. But let's say for a snack, you're going to do some Greek yogurt, right? That's a protein. So that's red. You're going to add some berries. That's another purple. And that's it, right? So you see you're kind of out of your fruit for the day. Now, if you have fruit somewhere else, you're not going to die. It's just good to keep in check. All right, well, I had my 2 fruits today. If you know that you want some sort of dessert that day and you want to do some strawberries with maybe a little bit of brown sugar or something, cool. Then you save your dessert. You save your fruits for later. All right, let's go to lunch. So for lunch, let's say you have a salad, which is oftentimes it's even 2 servings of veggies because you get the salad plus all the toppings, and the size of the salads these days are huge, but let's just assume for the sake of this, it's only 1 green. You're gonna also, I'm sure, have some protein on it. So let's say there's chicken or shrimp or salmon or steak or whatever. Cool, there's your protein. I'd imagine you're gonna have some sort of dressing on it because a dry salad sucks. So maybe there's your orange for the day. Most basic kind of house dressings or oil and vinegar. Again, if you're out to a restaurant, you can't go nuts, but there are a ton of 21 Day Fix approved dressings out there. And I usually make a double batch and just keep it in my fridge, and I use the hell out of it all week. They are in the book that I shared, plus there's a ton online, so I can help you with that as well. And then let's say you even have a piece of bread because you're at a restaurant and the bread is delicious, or you want some pita with the salad or something. Maybe that's one of your carbs for the day. For snack, let's say you do some hummus with carrots maybe, or celery. That's your healthy fat for the day, your hummus. And carrots are another veggie. And then for dinner, let's just say it's salmon cooked with oil, right? There's your spoon of oil. Salmon is your protein. You're gonna do some quinoa. I always mess up the spelling of that. I think that's right. Is your carb. And then let's say you do, I don't know, spinach or green beans or etc. Do you see how you just used all of your containers for the day? What happens is if you wing it, oftentimes it's dinner time and you're like, oh shoot, I didn't get my this, or this in, and people feel like they're eating too much. So to me, this is a good way to break it down. You can also be creative. All right, if I'm having salmon here, I know that for lunch tomorrow I can have it. Or I can add it to an omelet if I want tomorrow. Or tomorrow I have breakfast, so I'm gonna take the Shakeology and actually have it as a snack in the afternoon. So there's a lot of ways you can play with it. Let me show you how I track this menu that I just made. I'm gonna show you how I put that in the 21 Day Fix app. Okay, so you've got your plan for the day. Let me show you how I log this in the Beachbody 21 Day Fix tracker. So Beachbody has a couple apps. I will talk about them later, but ignore my non-manicure hand. If you open the 21 Day Fix, here's what's really great. So I'll tell you, you don't need to worry about the introduction, but the containers are all right here. So if you're like, oh shoot, is this a carb or is this not a carb? You can literally scroll down and see that, for example, corn is a carb. You may not think about it. You may think of it as a veggie, right? Or I need another protein, but I don't want to eat meat. Oh, I can have eggs. I can have Greek yogurt. I could do a Shakeology, some cottage cheese, etc. So the containers are awesome. I use this a lot. 21 Day Tracker. This is what I want to talk to you about. Okay, so select day one, right? I'm going to select day one. Okay, so you can add your weight. So I'm trying to do this real time. Sorry. There's a note section there. Okay. So, oh, that's right. The weight goes somewhere else. I'll show you that in a second. So it'll tell you, if you're following the 21 Day workout plan, it'll tell you exactly what you need to do, right? Now, this is set up, if I go to edit, this is the default. But again, in the case that I gave you, you only were having 3 veggies a day, 2 fruits, 4 proteins, only 2 carbs. And then I wrote here, so 2 oils. I wrote here 10 waters because in my head, my goal is 100 ounces. And so every time I go through 10 ounces of water, I add that. So this now, if I hit done, has now changed my daily portions. And if you look, this is what I have to eat today. So if I'm going back up here to log what I ate for breakfast, this is harder to do than it looks, trying to do both here. So if I'm going to add Shakeology, that's a protein. You can also do half proteins, which is nice. Peanut butter is a nut butter, and then a banana. Half a banana is 1 serving of fruit, and that's also in the containers. So let's say I do a full banana, that'd be 2 servings of fruit, right? Or let's say I do half a cup of berries. I can do a half there. But again, for this, let's just say I did a full fruit, and I hit done. Whoops. I hit done. As you can see, it just tracked it for me, and it deducted it from these portions, okay? Now, if I go into lunch, let's say I do a veggie, right? Because I had the salad. Same thing. It could be 1.5, 2. I had a protein. I had some bread, and I had some dressing. There I go, right? For dinner, I had that salmon, some quinoa, some spinach. Cool. And then as you look,
here's what I have left. If you remember, hummus and carrots, and then the veggie and the protein. So again, I can add that in my snacks, and then water, I track throughout the day. So let's say I had that 6.5, I know that I still need 35 ounces. So that's what I do. And then if you go back, you will see that there's 21 days to track all this. Okay, so this is really good. Information tracker, you can do your weight, you can do all of your inches, which I would highly recommend, before and after. You can store that there. And then again, back to containers, if you go into fruits, as I mentioned, it'll say, hey, an apple, one small apple, one medium orange, a large grapefruit, right? So it does give you some portions there, not just bananas as much as you want, or grapes. When it doesn't have an amount, it is implying that it is the size of the cup, of the purple or of the green or of the red. So hopefully that makes sense. So now that we have tracked all that, I'll show you a little bit about the shake. So you might have seen already on Shakeology.com the calendars that are out there, which provide 30 plus recipes for the month of each flavor. So I encourage you to experiment, try it with milk, try it with water, try different fruits and different combinations. You can even use some extracts to get really fancy. I have done that, and there are some really great ones out there, but I am such a creature of habit when it comes to Shakeology. I've been drinking it for 2 years and have almost the same shake every single day. I will say I have made some pretty bad shakes. When I first started, it was trying to figure out the texture and how thick, and I was adding the the powder at the end, and it was like spilling everywhere. So I'm gonna share how I make my shake, since some of you guys have asked me. One thing I forgot is that when I was adding frozen fruit, I try to use fresh fruit as much as possible, but obviously I've got some frozen stuff in there when the stuff that I have goes bad or we're out of it. If you add frozen fruit, you don't need as much ice because that is acting in a similar way. I have put frozen fruit with a ton of ice before, and it comes out super, super thick because it's like getting thicker and thicker with all the ice. And so just keep that in mind. Some people like it, they can eat it with a spoon. I prefer to be able to drink mine with a straw, and so that's really important. So I do about 6 ice cubes. People have very specific ways that they make it, so feel free to make it your own. But I always add the scoop of Shakeology first because I want to make sure that nothing gets lost. Sometimes when you add the powder at the end, it doesn't quite fit and you have to spill some out. I don't want to do that here. So I'm going to add a scoop of chocolate Shakeology, which is my favorite. I'm going to add a little bit of PB2 as well. Again, I eyeball this stuff when it's peanut butter. I'm a little bit more specific with measurements. I'll use a spoon. If I'm doing fruit, again, this is a lot of fruit. You actually may not even need this many berries if you're going to use berries. But I'm going to use a half a banana, which is great because my husband will use the other half. I put a lot of, like a good handful of spinach in it. This is, again, I'm eyeballing it, probably about a container. But I stuff that in there. When you have a good blender, I just have a Ninja, it's pretty basic. When you have a good blender, when you put the spinach with the peanut butter and chocolate and banana, I'm telling you, you don't taste it at all. It took me a year to try it. And this is how I have my shake every day. It's a great way to get a green in the morning because I was finding I wasn't using a lot of veggies. I use unsweetened almond milk almost all the time. If I'm doing, if I'm very specific with containers, or I was doing 80-day obsession, I will use water sometimes, but I just prefer it with almond milk. So do what you want. And I kind of just fill it up to about where it says here, max fill. It's probably somewhere between maybe like 9 to 12 ounces. It depends on kind of how it falls, but I add the liquid last because it kind of fills in here. Throw this guy on and I will be right back. Okay, I probably mixed it for about 15 seconds or so. What I really like about the Ninja is that it's got these to-go cups. So you can take it with you without dirtying another glass. You don't have to wash this big blender. or you could pour it in a solo cup, which is what I used to do when I commuted. People probably thought I was drinking and driving, but if you look, it's pretty liquidy. So good. I wish you all good luck in your creations, and look forward to hearing some of your favorite recipes too. I hope that helped explain a little bit more about how to use the containers and how to plan for a great healthy week ahead. I have legit seen people at restaurants with these containers, and so people do travel with them. However, that was always very uncomfortable for me. So I can tell you how I meal prep with these. I'm a big fan of just having little baggies or Tupperware. And on Sunday, if you want to measure out what the right portion of fruit is, take this, pack it with whatever, berries, etc. Put it in a Ziploc bag. Cut it up, put cantaloupe, Ziploc bag. You know that it's already pre-portioned. Do your best at a restaurant. I will send you a little cheat sheet so you know that this is about a cup. This is about 3/4 of a cup. Protein should fit in the palm of your hand, right? So it is not going to be perfect unless you bring these out. But I understand that that is uncomfortable, and so you don't have to do that. But I think the more that you get familiar with the containers and kind of can eyeball the portions, I think you'll feel more successful. And so please plan. You've heard the saying, I'm sure, if you fail to plan, then you plan on failing. And so do not leave this part out. Oftentimes people crush the workouts and the nutrition is just okay. That's at least where I usually fall, is in the nutrition part. And so nutrition's 80% of the battle, right? They say abs are made in the kitchen, which is so true. So make sure that you have a good plan coming into each week. If you search 21 Day Fix recipes on Pinterest or Google, you will be blown away. Beachbody On Demand also offers a cooking show called Fixate. Autumn Calabrese and her brother Bobby, who's a chef, Autumn's the creator of 21 Day Fix, they work together and they've got some pretty cool recipes. I am not comfortable in the kitchen. I'm a big fan of just piecing things together. But people that are more adventurous and like to actually prepare meals, which is not me, everything is broken down by the container, which is awesome. So they could tell you how to make a full casserole for your family, or the 21 Day Fix chili, or this big frittata for the morning. And then it'll say, hey, each portion size is 1.5 cups, and it's a half a yellow, a half a blue, and 1 red. So you'll start getting familiar with this terminology, but ask for any help you need. I think this can be really good for you if you set it up properly. So thanks for hanging with me, guys. Let me know what I can help with.